later in the afternoon, once the hops have had a chance to cool down and condition, they become softer, they're less likely to break up. We carry out the final task, which is packing the hops into pockets, large bags, known as pressing up. The hops are pushed into the pocket, loose. They obviously weigh very, very little now. Using a scuppet, which is that wonderful tool. The stomper goes down under gravity to start with, and is then driven down using the gearing system into the pocket to press the hops up tight. And in goes the next. Up until the late 60s, these presses were run by hand. There was no electric box on the right-hand end. There was simply a large wheel with a handle on it, and a man wound the rammer down into the hop pocket. We bought our first press in the late 60s, but until about 1973, we still had a hand winder on the other press. This is our original press at this end we're still using. But a local hop growers oast house, Alan Furman's oast house, burnt down in hop picking, and we bought the scrap press and put it back together, and the days of winding the hops, pressing the hops down by hand was over. The idea is to try to get the hop pockets as weigh as evenly as possible. We're aiming for around about 100 kilos, and the dryer will know from experience how hard he has to press and how many presses there have to be to get around about that. What generally happens is he will estimate the first one, pop it on the scales and see whether it's too light or too heavy, and work back from there as to ensure that they're all much for muchness. It's remarkably accurate too. Once the pocket's full, all the loose hops are raked back, brushed away, so it's all neat and tidy around the pocket. Pocket's then released by winding up the webbing from below, lifts the pocket up and allows the ring to be removed from the frame, from the pocket and from the frame. The pocket is then stitched up using coping string and a very large and nasty looking needle.
Just tuck that down. Tuck it under like that. Just roll it a little bit. That'll do. Right, I'll put my stitching first.
Where are you from? Are you? You're a local
Right, you grab that piece of string, and when I say pull it, you pull it. Alright? Right, pull it up. Right, now lay it along there. And put a stitch in there.
Facing towards me or away from me?
No, push it straight across.
Like that? Like that? Right,
Yeah.
right then.
Yeah. Over there. No, over the top of your string.
Do I need to have a bit of string in?
Right, thread all your string in your needle. Then pull it through too far. Keep that piece over there. Push that through. You should have put it and then done it as two separate ones.
Right.
Don't matter, it'll be alright.
I'll put it through?
Yeah, put it through. So keep that string out there. Right, now turn that piece you got there anti-clockwise.
Like that?
Yeah. And then poke your needle up through there. And then pull it tight.
There are two objectives in the way this is stitched up. The first, obviously, is to ensure that the hops don't come out and the pocket is secure. But it's also the way that the string is tied off effectively gives the pocket two ears. It's not just for decoration, it's to ensure, because they weigh 100 kilos and you've got to be able to move them around somehow, you need to be able to easily pick them up and move them. So the ears on the ends of on the corners of the pocket allow you to easily manoeuvre the pockets around into the right direction before rolling them about or standing them up.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I want you to lower it, and I want you to stay there, grab hold of that here, and pull it towards you, and I've got it low enough. I'll stay there. Now, grab this one.
Finally, the pockets are lowered, again on the webbing that holds them, and drop to the floor below, down to the pocket room. Each of the ridges on that pocket are one pressing. And you can see that obviously as there are fewer hops going in, the pressings get shorter and shorter and shorter as you go up the pocket. Hooping a pocket is really quite a skill. In the days when pockets were made of hessian, it really was a problem because they were quite inconsistent and the thickness varied a bit, and it was really a tricky business. I still can't do this job, but for someone like Trevor, who's done it all his life, he claims that the polypropylene pockets are much easier to hoop because they're, apart from anything else, is a very straight line of stitching to follow, so you get it absolutely even. If the pocket's not hooped properly onto the ring, it'll either pull down crookedly if it's not exactly hanging square, which can lead to the pocket splitting because the rammer is going straight down and the pocket isn't hanging exactly vertically. You can also find that it can pull out the top of the flaps of the pocket, and you really do end up with a mess.
then up through here, yeah?
Yeah, push it right through there.
Okay, up through that.
Turn that anti-clockwise. Come up through the bottom. Yeah, that's good. Punch.
There's my needle. I'll pick it up in a second.
We started growing organic hops in 1989, and here we are 18 years later, still with our patch of hops. In 89 we had conventional hops too, now we have none. The market for conventional hops has generally been terrible, although the spot market in 2007, the world spot market for hops has risen quite dramatically. They're 3 times the price they were, which has brought them up to about half the price of organic hops. As I see it, our organic hops are sold on a rolling 3-year contract. We've recently been asked whether we'd be prepared to extend that to a 4-year contract. So we know that they're sold for at least the next 4 years, and we see no reason why that should change. The only thing that may come back to bite us is that the wire work is getting older. That also was put up in 1987 actually. The wire doesn't last forever, and neither do the poles. So we're going to find that at some stage the wire work will need to be renewed, and the question then will be, can we afford to renew the wire work? If there's still a good demand for organic hops, it may be that we actually put low trellis wire work up and continue to grow the target hops that we're growing, but up a mesh, up a netting rather than string, and then they would be harvested by hand by a mobile version, a small mobile version of the static machine that we've seen in the film. That's so nice when that last one goes through the hole, that's done for another year. As for the price, all the time it continues to be at the level that it is, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be. Bear in mind that even at the prices the brewers are paying for this now, the value of the hops in a bottle of beer is still less than the cost of the label on the bottle. There's no reason why we shouldn't continue to fulfill this small but important market. You're supposed to be young and thrusting and fit and stuff like that.
It's in my eyes and my nose.
You're supposed to be the one who's supposed to sort of show the way to all us old dears.
You haven't been sniffing that dust up here.
And let's hope that my children in 30 years' time will also be saying, we're still the last hop grower in Marden. Maybe there might be another one by then. We shall see.